on the programming side. Because after today's lecture, starting from next time, every class, I like to give you 1 or 2 examples. If a small example, I will give you 2. If relatively big example, I just give you 1. Because I like to use 10 or 15 minutes, control within 15 minutes for the programming examples. I like to use 1 hour for our normal lecture part. 10 to 15, yeah, probably let's say 10, because we need some time calling names, preparation, yeah. All right, so let's start. Oh, I heard some student, can you check your microphone? I heard some noise. Yeah, please turn off your microphone at the Zoom side. Yeah. Ping pong 1, overview of web program. Yeah, some students, yeah, because I noticed some students from my last semester. Yeah, last year, Java class, I use same software environment for those students. So you just use the one you used in last semester. All right, but still, for I feel more than 1/2 of the students in this class, I need to go through those things. All right. Okay, all right. Overview of web programming. Yeah. All right. First, all right, web technology components. So first, this is not a web technology class. So I want to quickly get to the point that we need to do the web program. All right, the client side, yeah. At the client side, we need just the basic technologies we need to do the dynamic web pages. Yeah. So we need to use HTML, that's the static part, yeah. CSS, styling, yeah. We will not use much CSS features, very little. Yeah. All right. And Bootstrap, some students, so they like to use some advanced CSS package. So here, this Bootstrap is a popular CSS package. Yeah. So later I will talk about that. When I talk about examples, so I will explain a little more. Okay, yeah. Then JavaScript. JavaScript, very important if you want to do dynamic features at the client side. So we need to write JavaScript functions. All right, yeah. And here, for the JavaScript, other than the basic JavaScript, regular basic level JavaScript, there are some a little more advanced JavaScript related technologies. Here, the one very popular one, jQuery. Okay. Yeah. So highly recommended. Yeah, but for beginners, we need to slowly get used to it. Okay. Yeah. First, we need to be familiar with the regular JavaScript. Okay. After that, then we slowly move to jQuery. Okay. Yeah. So the idea of the jQuery, we can do more features with less code. That's the power of jQuery. Yeah. After that, another important technology, Ajax. Ajax. Yeah. I like to introduce this Ajax, another powerful technology we need to use. Yeah. And for data transmission, JSON. Okay, data transmission, JSON. Very simple, but most popular data transmission method, JSON type data. Okay, all right. Yeah, so this is the client side. So that's pretty much enough. All right. Then the server side, we take the easiest server side programming language. That's the PHP. Yeah. So because we don't want to spend too much time in this class. This class is still database class. So it's not a web programming class. Okay. So we cannot afford spending too much time in programming, right? So I picked this PHP. That's the best one because the learning curve very flat, very easy to, get used to it. After a few examples, and then by your current programming background. So you have some C++, Java, Python. I assume all the students, you have some programming background when you come to this class. So your programming background should be enough to help you, use PHP quickly. All right. For the IDE part, later I have another slide. I will talk about IDE. The IDE, there are many options. So for this class, I like to use NetBeans. Okay, although there are a few other options. For you, so if you have some good reason, you can choose other IDEs. Okay, if you do not have preference, just pick this NetBeans. Okay, the same as mine. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, but don't worry. So if you develop your project in one IDE, you send me your source code, I can use a different IDE to run it easily. So do not worry about that part. Although for different IDEs, the project structure different, completely different. But I do not need your project structure. I just use your source code. I just copy your PHP source code. That's enough. Okay. So don't worry about that part. Yeah. So you can use your own IDE if you like. All right. Yeah. Here, 5 best free PHP IDEs. So I searched the web. I want to see what are the most popular PHP IDEs. So here I have these top 5. The first one, Eclipse. Yeah. So Eclipse has one version. So when you download that, make sure that's the PHP version. I used that before. Okay, I used Eclipse PHP version before. Okay, so yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Second one, I'm not familiar with the second one. Okay. Third one, Apache NetBeans. That's the one we are using in this class. Number 3, NetBeans, Apache. Currently, it is on the Apache Open Source Software Foundation, that organization. Okay, managed under that open source organization. All right. Yeah. So then number 4, number 5. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So some other IDs may not be in the list. Yeah. One like IntelliJ PHP version. Yeah. Some students like to use IntelliJ. Yeah. Yeah, because that IDE is very popular in industry. IntelliJ, very popular in industry. So that's another good option for you. Okay. All right. Next one, then development environment, software installation. For those who have not done that before, yeah, because some students already, they installed that environment from previous classes. Yeah. So then you do not need to touch that. Still use that one. Yeah. But here I talk about that for those students who have not installed this web development environment. Yeah. So let me go through the background a little bit. For those you already have it installed on your machines, so you can take a break. Yeah. All right. The package is called XAMPP. That's the name of the web development, most popular web development software bundle. So it's a bundle of several commonly used software packages. Okay, so let me go through the background a little bit. Yeah. Each character here in this XAMPP, the name, represents some specific software package in the bundle. Yeah. All right. And after I talk about this, I will give you instructions, tutorials for students. You can install this development environment on your machine. Okay. All right. X, the operating system part. X represents multiple different platforms. OS, all right, refers to the operating system. Typically, there are these three types. W for Windows, M, Mac, and L, Linux. Yeah. X for all right? When you see X, this version covers all those three operating systems, okay? But you may see, sometimes you may see individual versions, yeah, like Windows replace X by W, WAMP, yeah, so that's only for Windows, all right? Replace X by M, MAMP, that's the only version for Mac. LAMP, only version for Linux. This X for all three versions. You can install on your machine, supporting all three different versions. But one thing, compatibility thing, okay? Yeah, for Windows, based on my experience, no problem. Yeah. XAMPP, yeah, based on my experience with all my previous students. For Windows students, if you install this version, no problem, no compatibility issue. You can do your work. But for Mac students, yeah, so you may have some compatibility issue. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work. For some students' machine, it doesn't work. So then you need to find a different way to solve that problem. Yeah. So let me see. Let me talk about that a little bit. So here, let me talk about Mac students a little more here. Yeah. Because I noticed each semester in my class, there are many Mac students. Usually at least 1/3 of the students using Mac machines. So, yeah, so I have to help those Mac students. So they may have a lot of problems. Yeah, yeah. All right. First, versions. For this XAMPP, versions. Let me talk about versions. Old version and a current version. Right? there is some important difference between older versions. Yeah. So older version before some point, yeah, there is a line. Yeah. So that line, yeah, I talk about that in my tutorial, software installation tutorial. Later, I will post my tutorial. Okay, you study my tutorial, 2 versions, one Windows version, another Mac version. Okay, after this class, I will post my tutorial. All right, yeah. And the recent version, not just current, recent versions, there is a key difference. Database management system different. Okay, yeah. So regarding the database management, DBMS, this part different. Okay, so old version MySQL. Okay, that's the one we like to use. Yeah, but recent, including current, after some line, yeah, a few years ago, after some line, yeah, that DBMS is switched to a new one called MariaDB. Okay, yeah. The reason is simple, yeah, because MySQL was acquired by Oracle. Okay, was acquired by Oracle. Yeah, so and here this exam they want to put it under open source umbrella. Okay, the whole package they want to put open source community. Then MySQL, it is owned by a private company, right? Oracle, private company. So it's not good to put a product of a private company under open source umbrella, right? So they have to switch to another similar open source DBMS. Yeah. So the developers, creators of the MySQL, that team, okay, the Swedish, that team, they created a new DBMS called MariaDB. Okay, the features almost the same as MySQL, almost the same, but not 100% same, slightly different. Okay, yeah, yeah. So that's the recent version of Xampp. Okay, slightly different, but we don't know how much different. Okay, yeah. So to be safe, yeah, because for this class we want to use MySQL. Okay, to be safe, we like to choose the MySQL version. All right, yeah, that's the old version of Xampp. Okay, I will upload older version Windows, Mac in the Canvas. You just download my older version. Yeah. Although you can find from web, but it may not be easy. Okay, yeah, you can find it, but usually it takes quite some time to find appropriate versions. So I upload from my computer. Yeah. So it's a pretty big, 100 something megabytes, several hundred megabytes. Okay, because it's a bundle containing a lot of things. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I upload 2 versions of Xampp, yeah, under Module 1 Part B. Today's class, Part B, software installation. I will create a small section for that. Okay, yeah. But then the story for those Mac students, yeah, based on last semester. Yeah. So they typically follow my instructions, but still some students couldn't get it to work on that Mac machines. Okay, yeah, yeah. So if it does not work, yeah, because probably, yeah, for this class, yeah. As I remember, one student in this class, couldn't get a database connection due to some reason, couldn't get it to work. If that happens on your machine, yeah, my recommendation, uninstall that old version. Okay, uninstall. Then, 2 students from my last semester's class, at the end, they did a lot of web search, but at the end, those 2 students, they installed the MariaDB version because that's the last thing they can do. Okay, so they tried many things, couldn't get it to work. So the last thing, yeah, so here, this experience I like to recommend to our students this semester. First, you have Mac machine. You couldn't get an older version exam work, then switch to current version immediately. Okay, in order to save your time. All right, MariaDB, yeah, just use the MariaDB. Then I have those 2 students. My examples, my code using MySQL, they also work on MariaDB. Okay, yeah. So you will be fine. Yeah, you can run my code, yeah, without any modification. Yeah. But as I remember, I have to use the relatively newer MySQL version. If I use the old MySQL version, that it may not work. I have to use a little newer MySQL version to run on that MariaDB version. All right, yeah. All right, yeah, so that's the operating system part, yeah. Apache web server. Yeah, we need to run our PHP code on this Apache. We call it HTTP web server. Yeah, so this is a HTTP web server. Okay, so another difference. So last semester, when I taught Java, I used Tomcat. Okay, many students in this class from my last year class, Java class, yeah, so they know how to use Tomcat web server. But this semester we changed to a different server, not Tomcat, Apache HTTP web server. Okay, yeah, another extremely popular web server. Okay, yeah. And MySQL. Yeah. So database management part. Yeah. There is a server, yeah, MySQL. So in order to run MySQL DBMS, we need to start MySQL database server. So that's a different server. Yeah. Here you can see we need to run 2 servers on our PC machine, 2 different servers. When we start, we need to start 2 servers before we can run our project. The first one, Apache HTTP server. The second, MySQL database server. All right, yeah, later I will talk about that, yeah. Later I have a slide, I talk about starting those 2 servers. Sometimes you may forget, right? Yeah. So you start your computer, so you start work on your project, you may forget starting those 2 servers. Then nothing works. Yeah. PHP. Okay, yeah. All right, so yeah, so you can see this bundle. So we need all these 4 components in the bundle. Yeah. But the last P we do not need. Yeah. The last P, yeah, you have 2 P's at the end. Last P, yeah. That's the, yeah. All right, this one we need. Actually, the real last P. Yeah, this one I switched, okay, the meaning. Yeah. But original, that's the Perl. Okay, yeah. That's a very old scripting language tool, but still many companies, they need to use that Perl. All right, yeah. But we do not use that. Okay, we do not need to use that. All right, but we need to use PHP MyAdmin. So this is a web application. For what? That provide graphical user interface for MySQL database. Graphical user interface. Yeah. Because the original MySQL DBMS, there is no graphical user interface. Okay, the original. Yeah. It's a command line tool. Yeah. The original product. Command line. Yeah. And most people, they do not like to type the commands, right? Yeah. So people like to work on the graphical user interface. Yeah. So we have to use some third-party tool for the graphical part. Yeah. So this PHP MyAdmin, one of the options. There is some other tools, graphical user interface. Yeah. Some students, they can use different tools. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. So last semester I saw one student use a different tool. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's the environment part. Okay. Yeah. The good thing about this environment. Yeah. So here, why this software bundle is so popular for web developers. For web developers, most of the popular programming software bundle, yeah. Because at old time, before this bundle was available, old time, we need to install all these packages separately, one by one. Okay, yeah, I did that before, right? 10-something years ago, when I taught this class of web programming classes, I need to install all the packages one after another. After that, then the tough thing, after installation, I need to do configurations. Because how to communicate between different software packages? We need to do communications. That's the tough part. Okay, how to do communication between Apache and PHP? How to do communication between PHP and MySQL? Things like that. So you need to modify some configuration files. You need to get into, you need to find some configuration files inside, software installation directory. Then, change code, all right? So, very time consuming. That experience, not very pleasant, that experience. But with this one, no configuration, okay? After installation, because our configuration part already get ready for you inside the bundle. So that's the best thing we like. Okay, after installation, ready to go immediately. Okay, yeah. That's simple. All right. Yeah. Next topic: PHP and Apache server. Yeah. Before we start using PHP, let me describe how things work behind the scene. Then it will help you understand. Okay, when you work on your code, you like to know a little bit how things do communication behind the scene. Okay, yeah, so that's important. When you have some problem, that background could be useful. So you can use that to help you fix the problems. Yeah. All right. How PHP works. Okay, so it's different from Java, different from C++, but similar to Python. Yeah. So Python, we know, scripting language, right? PHP also scripting language. Okay, you run PHP files by interpretation, not compilation. You do not compile your code. You just run directly. Just like Python, you do not compile your code. You run your code directly. So that's the interpretation way. Yeah. All right. Why PHP? Yeah, first, we need to add dynamic features into HTML content. Okay? Yeah. PHP is very powerful. Very, very powerful. There are a large number of PHP functions. Okay? Yeah. So we just search, so we do not need to memorize those functions. When we need, we just do the web search and find some examples so we can use quickly. Yeah. All right. Easy and powerful, easy to learn. Yeah. Learning curve, very flat. Yeah. Easy to learn, but very powerful. You can do almost everything you like to do. Very powerful. All right. Yeah. So here at this place, I like to compare PHP and Java a little bit. Yeah. We know we can use both programming languages to do server-side programming, PHP and Java, but Java much harder to learn. Learning curve very steep. Okay, so last semester we have a whole class to study Java web technology, CS4010. The whole semester, but only the basic part of Java web programming. For advanced level, still more classes. Okay, but for PHP, there is no such thing for PHP. You won't find the whole class study PHP. In that, the first web development class CS3010, there is one section covering PHP. Yeah. Yeah. Just a few weeks covering PHP. So then you can do the PHP programming. So that's the big difference. Yeah. The main reason when you use Java, you need to do a lot of configuration, a lot of resource configuration. Okay, yeah. Java is much more advanced, but PHP, no configuration. Right? Yeah. You just write your code, put in the locations by logic. Okay, so you do things by logic. Okay, then it will work as you're expected. But in Java, by logic, not enough. You need to follow the technical specification. Many rules in the technical specification you need to follow. Okay, yeah. So then a lot of complicated things you need to learn. Okay, but definitely much more powerful. Yeah. PHP already powerful, but Java more powerful than PHP. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here, let me just point out that difference. Yeah. Because some students from my Java class, okay, so they may wonder, so why you do not use Java? Because if I use Java, I do not have time to cover database part in this class, right? Yeah, I don't want to spend that much time talk about web technology. Okay, yeah. All right, how to use PHP. Yeah. Let me talk about that procedure to make the PHP code work on your machine. Yeah. The method we use embed PHP code into HTML content using PHP tags. We just use special PHP tags. Like here, we treat as a pair of tags. The starting part of the tag, less than question mark PHP. Sometimes that PHP could be skipped, but it's better to add that PHP to make the programmers aware we want to embed PHP code right here. Yeah. Although that PHP word could be omitted, yeah. But for better readability, we like to include it. All right, yeah. So then the end of the embedded code, yeah, we need to close it. Okay, yeah. Then inside these two endpoints, we just write our normal PHP code. Yeah, that simple. Okay, yeah. All right. How to execute PHP code? Then follow the syntax of the PHP statements, instructions, statements, then execution part. Okay, yeah. Call PHP engine. PHP engine, yeah. Inside exam bundle, inside it, okay, configured. Yeah. You may not be aware of it, but it's ready to use. Yeah. Okay. Call PHP engine. Who calls PHP engine? Apache. Okay. You do not need to call PHP engine by yourself. Apache will call it. Okay. Apache does the call. Okay. Yeah. Apache server, right? Yeah. Does that communication part. Sending your PHP code to the PHP engine for processing. Okay. Yeah. Internally. All right. Internally. All right. So then calling a PHP file by Apache server. Okay. So the PHP engine needs to interpret the PHP file. Interpret. Okay. Translate your PHP file into PHP instructions. Okay. Internally. You do not need to know that. Okay. You only need the processing result. You do not need to know what is the translation. Not important for us. Okay, yeah. So the PHP engine after translation, then execution. Machine code after translation, machine code is there. So execution one by one, instruction by instruction. All right. Yeah. And the output, it will generate the output. Okay. The output, the format of the output, HTML result, the text content, the processing result, text content, yeah, in HTML format. usually HTML format. If you want to generate different format, that's fine. Yeah. But for this class, we just need HTML format. Yeah. For different applications, you can generate PDF result. That's fine. PDF, XML, all right? Excel. Yeah. You can generate different output results. This class, we only need HTML results. Okay, yeah. And this HTML result is returned to Apache server. Apache server will receive this HTML result. Then Apache server sends that result back to the client, the browser, for display. So you will see the display result. So that's the whole procedure, how PHP works behind the scene. Okay, yeah, so that's simple. Yeah. We cannot see it, but if you know how things work behind the scene like this, then when you do the coding, you will feel more comfortable. Okay, so you will feel, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's some background to make you feel comfortable before you do the coding. Okay, yeah. Next, execute PHP files in server. All right. Yeah. How does Apache process a PHP file? Yeah. So let's look at a little more details here. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now let's add a little more details in the procedure I just described it in the previous slide. The first, your PHP file must use .php extension. Okay, you can give a file name, then .php. Okay, then that file will be treated as PHP file. All right, if you use a different extension, yeah, if you feel you like to use a different extension, then although the content is PHP, but it won't be treated as a PHP file. All right, if you change to a different extension, then Apache won't treat that file as a PHP file. Then Apache won't send it to PHP engine. Okay, so the reason Apache send that file to a PHP engine by this extension. All right, yeah, okay. Yeah. For example, if you call HTML, right? If you embed PHP code in HTML file, but you do not change to .php file name, you still call .html, then that file won't be treated as a PHP file. So this step is important. Okay. Yeah. Then after Apache detects a PHP file, just check the file name so it can detect, oh, this is a PHP file. All right. So it passes it to the PHP engine for processing. Okay. So PHP engine receives, oh, this is a PHP file. So then the engine uses the PHP parsing rules, okay? Using the PHP rules to parse line by line in your file. Okay? Yeah. All right. PHP engine bypasses HTML content. Yeah, because in your PHP file, you have two different types of content. HTML content, that's static. Okay, never changes, fixed, never changes. Then another part, PHP content, dynamic. Okay, dynamic, based on your user's needs, it can change to different content. Okay, so we need to work on the dynamic part. So static part, do nothing. So we need to do our work at the dynamic part. Okay. All right. But so here, PHP engine processes PHP file in this way. Skip HTML content. Okay, do nothing on HTML content. Okay. Only process the PHP. Only does the translation following the PHP rules and the PHP code inside that special PHP tags. Okay, and it returns the result as HTML content to Apache. Okay, yeah. Because in PHP, we can generate text content, right? Yeah. So more specifically, we generate text content. Okay, yeah. But text content, we can make it in HTML format. Right? In our text content, we put HTML tags. Okay. We follow the HTML syntax. Okay, when we prepare our text content. That's the way we produce HTML content. Okay, yeah. So you have to do it in your output, following, that's your responsibility to follow all the HTML content, syntax. That's not PHP responsibility, your responsibility. Okay, yeah. Apache returns HTML response to the client. Yeah, at the end, all right, text content, that's text content. Okay, yeah. But PHP engine just returned a whole block of text content to the Apache. Okay, Apache server. Apache server send it back to the client. Client web browser, after you receive, the browser receives HTML content, it renders the HTML page. So your users see HTML output, that whole procedure. Okay, so in your mind, you have that picture, HTML content. Okay, display, all right, yeah. That whole picture. Okay, communication cycle, you can treat that as communication cycle, okay, from beginning to end, between client and the server. Do data communication. This is part of data communication. Okay, you do communication between client and server. The client send a request to the server. The server, after it receives the request, do the data processing. Then it returns response back to the client. That's the one typical communication cycle. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we will see that picture later, a little more. Okay, yeah, that communication cycle a little more later. Okay, all right. The browser and the client renders HTML content. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, so that is the background story. Okay, yeah. So if you understand this part, then your focus later, you just focus on the coding part, PHP coding. Okay. All right. Next topic, then three-tier architecture. That communication cycle, three-tier architecture. Yeah. All right. So today, yeah, because we have less than 10 minutes left. Yeah. So I cannot run example. Yeah. So I have to leave programming example. Yeah. Because today, based on my plan, I need to run our first PHP example. Yeah. So that's the hello world. Yeah. Simple hello world example. Let me leave it to next time. Okay. Yeah. Here, let me talk about three-tier architecture. Pretty simple, that big picture for data communication. Okay, yeah. Look at this picture. So that's a typical, arrangement for client, server, then communication. Okay, yeah. Internet connection between them. Yeah. All right. So then for the client part, because at the client part, we also need to do programming, right? We need to do programming, two sides, all right? Client side, we use the technologies supported by browser at client side. Client side, the environment is web browser, okay? All right. So here, this tier, we give a name for this architecture, we call the presentation tier. Why presentation tier? Because the purpose of that side, we present data. The user requested the data, we want to do the presentation at this side. Okay, the format, the style, the arrangement, make it look good at this side. Presentation tier, all right, front tier. Sometimes people also call front tier, all right, client tier, presentation tier, all right, different ways to call it, okay, yeah. Then database server at the back end, yeah, we just look at the database server part because that is extremely important. So we take that part as one tier in our three-tier architecture. Database, that whole thing, we treat it as one tier. Okay, yeah. So that is the database access tier. Okay, we do database queries. Yeah, another type of communication. You need to do communication with the database. Right, database server is running. All right, you send a query request. Okay. I want to do these queries. So you send query statements to the database server. Okay. After the database server receives your requests, so then it will run, it treats your queries as commands. It will run the commands, all right? Generate the query results, output, return the output to you. So you get the query output. All right, yeah. So that's another type of communication. Okay, yeah. Then in the middle, you have another tier, you call the middle tier. Yeah. But in the middle tier, you need to do something important, useful things in the middle tier. That's the business logic tier. You do your business. Okay. You implement your business logic. Okay, your web application, typically you use it to do your business. In your business, you need to implement many business rules. Where do you implement your business rules? Right here in the middle tier. So we call it business tier. Okay, we do business logic right here. So these three tiers, client, business tier, middle tier, very bottom, very end, database tier. Database, we put lowest level, and we try to hide it. We try to protect it. We know the data is critical to the business, right? Every business, the data is critical, right? We want to protect our data, okay? So we don't want to expose our data to our client directly, all right? So between client and the data, we put a middle tier, okay? Middle tier, some middle tier in the middle, we try to separate those two tiers, client tier, database tier, all right? And put some good protection, all right? Yeah. So in the middle tier, we also need to do good protection, okay? Do not allow client to access our data directly. That's an important thing. Data protection. For security reason, all right? For security reason, we do not allow client to access data directly. The only way you can access your data through middle tier. That's the safe way, okay? Access data through middle tier, that's the safe way. If you want to bypass the middle tier, you access data from client, jump to the data tier directly, that's not safe. You need to stop that way. Yeah. Technically, it's doable. Technically, you can do that, all right? Bypass the middle tier to access the data directly. But do not, for security reason, never do it, okay? So you know the reason, yeah, data protection, okay? All right, yeah, let me stop right here. Yeah. We have, just a little more coding examples. I leave next time. Next time I talk about starting two servers, then run a simple PHP example, okay, to get you started in programming. All right, so that's it.